Okay, we are live. Good afternoon. Happy Tuesday, everyone. It is 2:56, so you have 4 minutes to go grab your colleagues, tell them they're going to want to learn all sorts of stuff about research tools today. So please go ahead and grab your folks or grab your friends. And while you're waiting, please make sure you sign in at the link you see on the screen. I'm going to put it in the chat window in case you're there already. And we will get started here at 3 o'clock. Ooh. One more minute, guys. Get ready for some awesome research tools coming up. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Happy Tuesday, everyone. My name is Melissa Matthews, and I'm with the Department of Educational Technology. And I'm here with Holly Ann Ruffner today, and we're going to teach you all about research tools. Before we get started, I'm going to switch over to the other screen. Hopefully, you all can see the other screen as well. Good. And the other screen basically shows you that this is the weekly webinars.palmbeachschools.org. And when you scroll down, you're going to see this is where we present from and where you watch from. So if I click play, you're going to see the live presentation. So you're seeing screen upon screen, right? In the bottom right corner, you see that YouTube link. So if I click YouTube, it's going to take me to YouTube where I can see the live version of the same video, but this time on the right, I have the ability to participate in the chat. I always click this top chat and make it live chat because that way I can see every message. Top chat chooses the message it deems important and hides the other ones. It's tricky. So we always do live chat. Also, you can see how fuzzy my screen is. If I go down to the bottom where that gear is and where it says settings, and I go to quality, I can make that 720p. And then you can see it's much, much more clear and visible and easier to watch. So we're definitely going to want that. And I'm going to click back to my other screen now to Holly Ann, if you want to advance that. We are going to start talking about research tools, and I'm going to pass it on over to Holly and let her go ahead and begin.
Hello, everyone, and happy Tuesday afternoon. It's almost time to go home. Let's talk about why we would use subscription database tools as opposed to using Google. Not that you can't find quality materials using Google, but you have to be very skilled, and particularly for students, they sometimes just do a search and take the very first hit and assume that it's accurate and reliable, and it isn't always. So that's what we're going to talk about today, getting reliable content without overwhelming results. Digital resource content in the terms of our subscription databases are appropriate for the age group. A lot of times the articles and different hits are leveled by Lexile if you need that, and they are not generally available directly through Google for free. Many times they can be discovered on Google through a search, but when you click the link, it's going to ask you for your subscription to that particular tool. And we're going to show you a direct way to get to that because it's problematic going through Google. The thing I like the best about our database subscriptions is any material inside there is licensed for student remix. They do have to cite the source, but the pictures and the maps and the audio files and the general resources can be used for student products without worrying about the digital rights or the copyright issues, as long as you cite it. We are paying a license to use this material. What's in databases? For the most part, a general database will index material from these kinds of resources and pull it together for you so it is searchable. Once you perform a search, you'll get results that are from a variety of sources, and it will tell you what those sources are, and you can sort them and choose the ones you want and so on. So it pulls together information from multiple publishers and resources into one spot for you to search. Now, we're going to talk today about resources divided up in elementary, secondary, and then for teachers. And within those groups, we're going to talk about two categories. Our paid database subscriptions are served out through our employee and student portals. If you are not a teacher, a media specialist, a member of the curriculum department or the ed tech team, in other words, an educator, if you have a different role in the school district, you will not see the tiles that I'm going to show you in the portal. You will not see them in your portal. That there's a whole reason for that, the way the portal works. But you will not necessarily be able to see these. But if you have a student at home and you'd like to know about these, and you can have your student log in and show you these resources. I'm also going to talk about some selected resources that are available on the open web, great sites to bookmark, and they're useful for the category that I'm showing them under. So let's start with elementary resources. And I'm going to exit this slide deck for a moment. I'm going to go over to my portal. This is the front screen of my portal. Students portal looks slightly different. You may not know, but their tabs are on the left-hand side. But I'm going to look for the reference desk tab at the bottom of my screen and click it. All of our subscription database tiles are here. And there's some other additional material here that's actually free. So we're not going to talk about all of these things today, but I'm going to highlight the things that we pay a subscription fee for to have access to. So for elementary students, our primo resource is Pebble Go. This is a database that is specifically designed with the emergent reader in mind. It can be searched with a regular text search in the box, or it can be searched visually using a branching tree using visual prompts. It is excellent for kindergarten through first grade, but many of our students use it even in second and third. So that's our first database resource for elementary. Our second resource is hidden behind this portal tile called Gale Research. This takes us, if you are a teacher or media specialist or curriculum writer, it takes you to a screen with all the schools. If you are a student, it will take you directly to the screen for your school. So I'm going to demo Acreage Pines. If I was a student at Acreage Pines, it would open directly here. This focuses the student on the information and resources that are age appropriate for them. So if I'm a high school student, it's going to look a lot different. We're going to show you that in a second. The resource I want to highlight is called Kids Info Bits. It's this purple icon. And this is a terrific visual resource for the elementary student. And the great thing about all of our Gale resources is they are Google integrated. You can click this, it's going to flash a little bit, and you can see signed in as Holly Ann. Even students can do this because they have a Google sign-on. This will allow them to save articles and pictures directly to their Google Drive and then access that drive from home to see the resources that they saved. Then they can share them with others that they're working on a project. It's very, very handy for students that are involved in Google Classroom or they're in collaborative projects. It's a great feature, and you're going to see that in the other levels as well. So heading back to my slide for a second to get my live links on the web. There's a couple sites I wanted to highlight that are excellent for elementary students. And one of them comes to us from what is known as the Florida Electronic Library. This comes from our Department of State and the State Library. I will click this link and it's going to say use my location. I'm just going to do that. These are free resources, and you'll see that Kids Info Bits is repeated here. And the reason it's repeated is that the Florida Department of State and the State Library pays for a whole suite of resources from the Gale Company, and they provide them free of charge to all residents of Florida. And you can get to this on the open web, and it knows you're in Florida and will grant you access to it. So this is another way to get to Kids Info Bits. So if you're wondering why they ended up in our portal, it is a service that the Gale Company provides us, and it pulls selected resources that are paid by Florida Electronic Library to add to our group of resources so that it expands the resources our kids have access to right from their portal. So some of these things are twice. So you can get to Kids Info Bits here, and we're going to come back in a moment. You can see there's a tab for middle school, high school, college, for teachers, and for general interest. There's a lot of great resources here. Now, before I leave this page, the Florida Kids site, if you teach fourth grade or you have a student that is in Florida studies, this is a super resource for all things Florida history. It's a great resource. So that's linked there from the slideshow. I'm going to clean some of this up, get back to my slides. Another web resource I wanted to highlight is Smithsonian Kids. This is exactly like you would think from the Smithsonian Institute in Washington, D.C. This is their learning lab. Great stuff for kids online. There's a lot of things they can explore and learn from, and there is a search at the top of the screen. They could search for specific topics. A lot of great things here that you could highlight as a teacher and use in classroom projects and so on. Another great resource for kids that's free and on the web, and you'll notice there's no advertisements on this site. It's great to have something like that where there's no distractions from the credible information. So those are my suggestions for elementary students. Let's go on to secondary students. In the portal, there's a group of 4 different resources for secondary students, depending on if they're high school or middle. So let's escape this and jump out back to my portal and look at those. Several resources for high school students. One of them is SIRS Researcher. This is what they call a pro-con database. It is excellent for social issues research. It is for the high school student to look at issues from both sides. It indexes material from all those kinds of resources that I told you about earlier, websites, books, newspapers, magazines, and it serves them up in a pro-con format so students can figure out what the sides of the issue might be that they're looking at. It's great for debate students, students in AP and IB courses that are exploring important social issues and controversies. From the World Book Suite, which is loading slowly, from the World Book Suite, there are several tools for middle school and high school students. You would just click one of these icons. Here's SIRS Discoverer. And for our high school students, World Book Advanced. And we also have a fully blown Spanish encyclopedia for upper elementary, middle school, and high school students. So you would just click that, and it's a very visual, easy, advanced search type of interface. And it's excellent for maps and general resources for the secondary student. And again, like I said, all the visuals and materials can be used in projects as long as you just cite them. Then back to our Gale Research tab. And of course, it went right to Acreage Pines because that's where I left it. I'm going to pick a high school, and you'll see the difference. Again, remember that as a teacher, the tile will take you to that splash page where you choose a school. As a student, it will take you only to your school. So you can see that a high school student has many more resources to pick from. And we have another pro-con database called Opposing Viewpoints. We have a specialty science encyclopedia, some general reference encyclopedias, student resources in context, and research in context. We also have a global issues database that works like the other pro-cons, but it's all world issues. And there is the sign in with Google and save material to your Google Drive. And it's, it's already, I only had to do it once in one tool, and you can see I'm still logged in with Google. I can save any of the articles that I find in my search to my Google Drive. And that's true with any of the Gale in context resources. You can see that there are many, many more resources here. In addition to these databases, we have ebooks, which are also known as GVRL. It stands for Gale Virtual Reference Library. These are full text ebooks, and you can download sections and chapters, again, to your Google Drive, straight to your computer. You can print them. You can search by topic. Let's pick history, and it narrows it down. And you can open a book and view ebook, and it puts it in a 2-page spread, which it's probably on the fly pages. Hang on, it's loading. There, that's the opening of this book, and you just page forward like any other ebook. But you can download chapters and so forth, and you can search within this title, or you can search across a bunch of ebook titles. So that's terrific for high school students doing research. Let's see what else is on my list. I think I got them all. SIRS, Gale, World Book, and GVRL. Let me make this present so that I can go back to the FEL, the homework page. Now, Now it clicked right to high school for me. You can see they have many more resources than what was on our Gale tab from the portal. The difference is this page, those of you that don't have access to the Gale tile through your portal, you can get to most of the same material here, just not the subscription databases that the district pays for. But there's a lot of material here that you can get to strictly from this link or by going to www.flelibrary.com. Another great resource for secondary students is the Library of Congress. This is a site that's a little bit more difficult to do searches in, but they have a great help resource called Ask a Librarian. I could click here and I could ask the librarian in a chat to help me find material on whatever topic it was I was looking for. Again, a lot of these primary sources, photographs, etc., and photographs of works of art can be used in student presentations and work, and they have great tools to help you cite them and tell you what your usage rights are. It's really a great resource on American culture and history. A terrific free resource on the web for the advanced science student, particularly, well, obviously biology, as you can see from the pictures. This is the Encyclopedia of Life. It indexes photographs and studies and all kinds of information on life on Earth. And it even helps with students that are studying scientific classification of different animals and plants. It's a really deep site, and it's great for those advanced students. And you can see it's reliable because it comes from the National Museum of Natural History and the Smithsonian Institution. So it comes from a very reliable source. And lastly, here's a page from the Smithsonian that's more for the advanced student. It's called the For Researchers page, and they can search here and find collections, primary sources. They highlight some resources here that they can discover. But this is, again, an excellent site for the advanced researcher in secondary classes like IB and AP. So I would recommend that for secondary students. So then for teachers, these same resources are available on your portal, the Gale, the GVRL, and all the World Book resources. The one I didn't highlight is teaching books. It's particularly useful to teachers. If you're an English language arts teacher or an elementary teacher doing an author study or a book study with students. I'm going to escape this for a second. I'm going to go back to my portal and show you the teachingbooks.net tile right here. This resource does not give you full text books. It gives you information about books and authors. So if you looked up your favorite author, it would give you lots of resources to link out to concerning that author and their books. There might be lesson plans. There might be an author interview, either video or audio. There's even a button to learn how to pronounce authors' last names that you've never heard pronounced aloud before. So all kinds of information here. There's also our Florida book lists are here. This happens to be the Sunshine State Young Readers Junior Award list for this particular year. And you can see the titles, and then you can click into a title and see the resources that go with that title. You can make lists in here, and students can use this as well, but it's really a great resource for adding some interesting pieces to your instruction about a particular author or book. That's teachingbooks.net. The rest of the resources, Gale and GVRL and World Book, we've looked at in the portal. So let's look at some resources on the web. We have, oops, I have to click present for that link to work. The Library of Congress also has a special section just for teachers. There are all kinds of materials, classroom materials. There are primary source sets here. They have professional development on how to use primary sources in the classroom. Let's click classroom materials so you can see there's lesson plans, themed resources. There's collections that group primary sources around some sort of historical period or some part of popular culture that you can connect to, particularly history lessons. It's a great resource to dig into and find material to go with history lessons. And if you get lost or confused, you can click their Ask a Librarian button and tell them what you're looking for, and they will help you find it within their site. Smithsonian has a page for educators. It looks like this. Again, lots of different things to explore that they're highlighting, and you can do a search at the top to see if they have materials available to go with a topic that you're studying, particularly in history or American culture. Definitely worth exploring for resources to use in lessons. Then one of my favorites is the Florida Memory Project. This is part of the FEL and the State Library. This is a digital archive of audio collections and photographic collections. Everything has to do with Florida. There's even some very old maps in here, information related to some history topics. And they have an area called Classroom where they pull the resources together under topics. And you can use them to create lessons, or they help you create lessons with these topics. And they connect to some very standard things in either American history courses or in elementary school, a Florida history course. For example, here's Florida during World War II. You can drill down to what was happening in Florida during World War II while you're teaching that larger topic. As a history teacher, here is information on Zora Neale Hurston, which would fit into an English language arts class. And there's other topics here you can explore. And then lastly, I wanted to highlight the fact that the school district still has a very small professional library, and we push that out to our teachers through a professional library website, which is linked from the newly launched website and the one that is coming in on April 19th. The digital hub for employees. This will be linked from the teacher page and the media specialist page. That library is housed in my building. It's a service of Library Media Services, and you can request one of our books from our collection, or you can request a study guide for those of you that are studying for a certification exam. And we also have housed here a link back to the Florida Electronic Library resources, and we're highlighting 2 databases that index material on our profession. If you are looking for research information for either you're getting your master's or you just want to know more about a particular area of the education field from a more academic point of view, these databases are really useful. So those are our resources for elementary, middle and high school students and for teachers. And I'd like to end my presentations with this slide. If you were to click the link that says State Archives of Florida, it will connect you to this photograph that's in the Florida Memory Project. It just so happens that this is from a search for a place near my childhood home, a park called Crest Lake Park. And that is a photograph of me as a 10-year-old, happens to be archived in the State Archives, which is extremely pleasing to somebody who's a librarian like me. And then it's really hilarious because it is so old, and I am so old, that it's in the public domain, which, if you know what that means, it means that there are no copyright restrictions on that photograph because it's been around so long. So that's how I like to end my presentations. I hope you found something interesting that you can use either for personal interest or in your teaching or working with your own own child. So I'll throw it back to Melissa.
Just so y'all know, she's not that old. I do have that echo now, Holly Ann, I think from your machine. I'm not sure.
Oh.
Yeah, it just all of a sudden, it was fine the whole rest of the time, but I wasn't talking. I want to thank Holly Ann. I don't know about you guys, but I learned a ton every time I listen to Holly Ann speak. I learn about more and more amazing resources that are so much better than Google and work so well with, all of our population and all of our stakeholders here in Palm Beach. Your homework is the same as every week. So you need to watch the training. So if you're here right now, you're good. And if you're not, please make sure you watch the whole thing. Implementation homework. Just take a screenshot of you using one of the many, many resources that Holly Ann shared with you today. Hopefully you will do this after the training, not during the training, because you will need to make sure it's done after to show that you've implemented what you learned as opposed to doing it during the presentation. And the survey. So there's one survey per semester in e-learning management. I need you to do that as well or complete that. Also, the homework needs to be turned into ELM. You cannot email me. I have just a few people that have emailed me. And so hopefully that won't happen again. It only happened once or twice. So in all the years I've been doing this. So that's pretty good. Can we go to the next slide, Holly Ann? Perfect. So your next webinar, I refreshed it, but that's okay. April 16th, not the 9th. Today's the 9th. Excuse me. And I think you're going to love this one. It's on collaboration and communication. And we're just going to throw out all sorts of different, it's going to be like what do they call those? A smash deck, I think they call them, where we'll give you all sorts of different resources and you'll be able to pick and choose what you'd like to use in your classroom. So I'm really looking forward to that. Copying and pasting real quick, this ed tech evaluation that I give you every time. If you could please go ahead and fill that out. Again, if with the question that says, would you like more assistance? That's asking if you want someone to come to your classroom to help you or to Google Hangout with you. If you need that assistance, please let me know and we will help you. And if you're not, then that's fine. Don't worry about it. Or just put no. I'm looking at Carol's comment. So sad that I'm not an educator, so I don't have the tiles you showed. Okay, so Carol, unfortunately, I'm not an educator either, and I don't have half of the tiles that she showed. So that is why she gave us many, many, many of those links to utilize for our homework purpose. But you can always go visit a school and look at some of those if you needed to utilize those.
If you go through the Florida Electronic Library links that are on those sites, and then you just go to www.flelibrary.com. That's the Florida Electronic Library, and you can get to a lot of those Gale resources, kids info bits, and then some of the high school ones. So just a few that we pay for here at the district that the state does not pay for. Those are the ones you'd be missing, but you can get to some at least to do for the purposes of doing the homework.
Great. And Jacqueline, if you're still on, were you able to get your sound worked out? And Nikki, thank you for helping her. Hopefully she did. Hopefully she'll chat in and say, yes, I made it work. And if not, hopefully she'll be able to watch that recording. Good, Carol. So the next slide is thank you. So there's her contact information, melissa.matthews@palmbeachschools.org and hollyann.ruffner@palmbeachschools.org. If you need anything, feel free to email us. We're always happy to help. We hope this was informative, and we hope you have a happy Tuesday. Stay dry. That rain was supposed to start, but I don't know if it did. I'm in this closed-in box.
It's coming.
It's coming.
It's coming.
So stay dry. Enjoy your afternoon, and we'll see you next week. Have a good one, everyone.
Bye, everybody.